Hello, everyone. Juxtaposition here. Hope everyone's having a nice day and drinking sweet nectar from the Juxtaposition 1 cup. This handsome coffee first, just or follow the links below. You become a paid member. This is a Brutal Truth channel, but it's also a cathedral building channel. And if you were unsure how long it takes to gain the wisdom and knowledge and skill to build a cathedral, think in terms of years. You need to become a member of my channel for multiple years, multiple years. That means more than 3 months. That's what that means. You're not going to just jet on over here and look at a few videos and go out and build a cathedral. Otherwise, you're going to end up like Richard Gage in a ditch babysitting Department of Energy scientists until they have heart attacks in their homes. Yeah, that's what Richard Gage does. He's like a vulture. He's like an angel of death. Richard Gage is a satanic angel of death, and he was hovering over my dear friend Dr. David Gregg, PhD in chemistry for the Department of Energy, until he died. That's what I think of you, Richard Gage. Thumbs down. Big time. Big time thumbs down. All right. Today's video will be entitled as follows: Military Mesh Networks. Military Mesh Networks. And of course, all the networks are connected up to each other to create one vast and ginormous network. Like the Hollywood film Network, nodes on the network. All right. Anyway, you know that a mesh involves thousands of different types of communication devices, sensors, things, what's called a transponder. Transponder, things that receive and can send. They can send and receive and send, right? Like MIMS and MIMOs. MIMS are micro electronic mechanical sensors, and MIMOs is maximum input, maximum output, having to do with sending and receiving maximum amount of data. Collection data and transmission of data, passing it along to the next hub on the network, the next node on the network. You might want to take notes and be prepared to replay this video. This video is extremely esoteric, and for people who are not paid members and have not spent a couple of years with me on things such as the Human Augmentation Program of NATO and Biodigital Convergence Agenda 2030, I'm going to be talking way over your head for most of this video. So, but that's not my fault. That's your fault for not becoming a paid member and getting behind the paywall and catching up, which can take you 9 months to catch up, probably 18 months to catch up if you really want to be brutally honest. So again, this channel is for people who like honesty and authenticity, and they like the brutal truth. It's also for people who want to learn and build a foundation based on knowledge, not fairy tales. And we torpedo talking points here, and we demolition the dogma. We demolition the dogma because virtually 100% of what you hear on YouTube and on Rumble and all the military platforms for free, what you get for free is dominantly balderdash, poppycock, and mendacity, meaning that if that's where your source of information is, you will be buried into a Donald Trump Freedom City. And that time is rapidly approaching. You know, they're closing off most of Malibu and Pacific Palisades. They're not going to rebuild all the homes that were destroyed and buildings that were destroyed and all the businesses that were chased out of there. They're not going to replace all that, but they do have a plan. You know, they're building Smart LA 2028. Smart LA is code for security clearance only. I just did a video, did I not, about zero trust architecture. You know, I don't want to have to repeat what I already discussed, but this video is a building block of my videos for you to understand what's going on, because I can't skip around. I build on bricks like Lego bricks. Like Lego bricks, you build a cathedral brick by brick, idea by idea. And of course, the first thing that we do on my channel is we have to demolish all of the poppycock belief systems that people had. There's no such thing as COVID. There's never going to be such a thing as COVID. They're never going to use COVID. They're never going to use nuclear weapons either. So get that out of your head. There is no state of Israel. There is no communist China. And most importantly, there's no United States of America. That's a psyops that exists only in clueless people who celebrate the 4th of July, pledge allegiance to a 13-striped flag, stand for a national anthem at a sporting event where all the players are on drugs and hormones, like Bruce Jenner, and then they stand for the national anthem, which is comical since we have no nation. We only have a Hunger Game, and we only have Swiss Bank Authority. Anyway, what I want to tell you today is about the mesh network. And the mesh network, of course, is the amalgamation of centuries of preparation phases. When the Roman legions were active, they imposed what later became called the Strategic Hamlet Program. That's what we called it in Vietnam. We also called it the Agroville Program, and we called it Search and Destroy, and eventually it morphed into Strategic Hamlet Program. Then it was augmented by CORDS, and then Operation Phoenix as a part of CORDS. CORDS was always maintained. So was Strategic Hamlet. So was Agroville. They've never abandoned a pacification and control program in the history of military domination of the world. They always maintain the old system whilst they roll out the new system. Then they just keep it for backup. That's exactly what they're doing with the mesh network. You couldn't have a mesh network of the level and elaborate nature of what it is today. You couldn't have it unless you had a lot of advancements in electrical engineering and graphene, polymers, nanotechnology, nanosciences, and trillions of dollars spent on radiation poisoning and on the development of Sir Isaac Newton's photonic weapon systems. They took what Isaac Newton did with prisms, capturing sunlight into linear acceleration, CERN, and photonic weapon systems known as DEWs, direct energy weapons. And we've taken sound and sound waves, and we've created sonic communication systems for submarines. We've created sonic booms from SR-71 and SR-72 terrorism planes. I prefer to call the planes what they are. They're terrorism planes. They have little to do with spying. They have everything to do with stirring up and scintillating our polluted skies using sound waves. We also have helicopters, and we have fixed wing turboplanes with the noise pollution turned to the max, again, to scintillate the skies above. To create this mesh network, this grandiose mesh network that is in place by NATO today, first DARPA program. SAI, of course, all my paid numbers know, but that means stratospheric aerosol injections. Stratospheric aerosol injections. This leads to putting aluminum, titanium, magnesium, barium, and plastics, graphenes or polymers into the sky, and then dosing it with the sunlight when it's during the day, or at night, dosing it with sonic, ultrasonic sound waves from the turboprop planes and helicopters that you may hear, and I hear at night. I hear helicopters flying at night, including a Chinook helicopter, which flies day and night. And I'm here to tell you that the sound waves excite the particulates in the sky above, low Earth orbit, pretty much anywhere from 100 feet over my head up to 30,000 feet over my head is a complete mesh network of polluted particulates known as smart dust, also known as MIMS, micro electronic mechanical sensors. It's also known as mesogens. It goes by dust networks, also neural dust. That's another synonym for smart dust. Neural dust. It's the same thing. Of course, it gets on your skin. It gets in your lungs. You breathe it. It goes in your brain. And that's like getting a COVID booster shot. Okay. Every day you go outside, every day you exercise, you go running, you go cycling, you drive around on your motorcycle, you inhale all this aluminum chalk thinking, oh, what a great fitness program I'm on. The whole time you're being tethered to the cloud, the HAL 9000. That's part of the mesh. That's how the mesh works. Do you know the number one component of the mesh? It's not 5G towers. No, it's not smart meters. It's not ring cameras. It's not the LED lights, although those are extremely important components of the mesh. The greater component, the most populated component, besides the individual dust particulates, the next most popular node on the network is you, the listener of this video. You, the listener. You are a node on the network too. You are a walking antenna. You are a walking hard drive. You are a transponder. You both send and receive electronic in light energy, sound energy, and magnetic resonance. That's right. Human beings have replaced the cell tower. Human beings are now the cell tower. Human beings are mobile phones, whether you carry your device or not. You're the device. Don't you get it? You're part of the IOE, Internet of Everything. What do you think they mean when they say that? We used to have the IoT, remember? Internet of Things. They changed it. That's gone. That's passe. It's IOE, Internet of Everything, not just your television, not just your refrigerator, not your wireless router, not just your wireless router, not just your wearable devices like your Fitbit or your smart glasses or your cell phone. Not just that. You, as a human being, you have a wireless body area network. And the controllers have logged into you and are collecting your pulse rate and your blood pressure and your state of anxiety, also known as your state of stress. That's being put into a database under the filing coding of precision medicine, which also goes under personalized treatment, which also goes under e-pharmacy, you logical effects of taking drugs remotely by using magnetic resonance, light, or sound energy products, delivery systems, which have all been weaponized in Department of Energy and CERN and universities. You know them, MIT, Harvard, Princeton, Stanford Research Institute, Caltech, UC Berkeley, UCLA. Yeah. What do you see in LA when the smog clears? Well, you see LA, except there's so much smart dust you can't see anything. Don't forget, don't forget that the Pacific Palisades fire and the Malibu fires was just a land grab. They have no intention of ever rebuilding any of the homes. They're going to convert it to some higher use. That is a secret. And it's all part of Smart LA 2028, when you're going to need palm prints, eyeball recognition to get on a bus, to get on a transit train, to go to the Olympics in 2030, which will be 100 real ID, zero trust system. In other words, they need to authenticate and verify your identification in multiple ways, not one way, multiple ways, in terms of your DNA, your real ID, your eyeball recognition, your veins in your hands or your heart, and your vax status. And that will determine what privileges, what few privileges you may enjoy at a venue to go see the Los Angeles Lakers or the Los Angeles Clippers or the Los Angeles Rams or the San Diego Chargers, who've been renamed Los Angeles Chargers, or to go to see the venues of the Olympics, where all the athletes will be on drugs, and you can go there if you pass the zero trust architecture, meaning that you're fully in compliance with all of the obedience rules of the obelisk. The obelisk is the chain of command. It's the power of the pyramid. And most people are not at the highest level. They're somewhere along the pillar. In the case of Donald Trump, he's at the bottom. He's at the reflection pond. Remember, Donald Trump's concerned about the reflection pond in Washington. He thinks there's a hole in it, it's leaking. Well, that's the level zero. That's level zero. There's 33 levels above Donald Trump. 33 levels above Donald Trump. There's 33 levels. He's of the pyramid. He's in the basement. All right. He's level B1. All right, a couple of words I need you to write down. Okay, the old system, which was based on an army entering new territory, taking the high ground. Have you heard that expression? Take the high ground, boys, take the high ground. That's because in the old days, we didn't have satellites, helicopters, drones, or jet planes. So the highest point would have been the hill or the mountaintop, and go set up a fortress, a some kind of a Bastille fortress atop the mountain, and then we'll use a courier system to relay intelligence gathering. In other words, troop movements, and if any enemy or foreign forces are arriving or approaching our perimeter, which we will secure our perimeter. That's how they did it in the olden times, like 2,000 years ago. Did a system of taking the high ground and using a courier system of a runner and or later a horseback rider. And this was known as a sentinel system, the posting of a guard, the guard out watch. And Jimi Hendrix sang a song all along the watchtower. That was about celebrating the military sentinel system. Sentinel. So write that down. Sentinel. 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 It's about guarding your perimeter and taking the high ground and continuously observing 360-degree panoramic views to study movement, any movement or sound of enemy fortress or enemy forces approaching. All right. Then today we have migrated because of satellites and because of drones and because of CubeSats, low Earth orbit orbiting transponding, what's called communication satellites, even though they're all shapes and sizes now. We've moved to a sentient system. Sentient, spelled Sentient, sentient system. It also functions with the smart dust, which is 7G technology, but it runs using 6G terahertz submillimeter wave pulsing, like CRISPR Therapeutics. CRISPR is a molecular engineering acronym about using micromillimeter, submillimeter pulsing energy is CRISPR. All right. And we call this ambient because now we have a sensor system that's ubiquitous, inescapable, and gets into all the little hard to reach locations of the blowing it around, and the airplanes exciting it with both sound and electronic energy from the sky. All right, we call it the ambient system. Burglar alarm systems have all morphed to ambient now. Any kind of a movement, it'll detect movement, temperature, sound. Okay, this is how the ring cameras work. The ring cameras are ambient. They function on movement or sound. And when the camera is typically turned off, until there's movement or sound or light. If it detects any of those three um, physical physical occurrences, the camera will begin recording audio and shooting video. So if you walking your dog and you stop at your neighbor's house to have a conversation, and they have a ring camera on the front doorbell, your entire conversation will be recorded. They may or may not get a good video of you because behind. I can tell you they can record. They can record voices up to 1 mile away, 1,500 meters distance. So don't think you can just go across the street and you won't be recorded. No, they'll still record you over there too. All right, that's part of our mesh network. Are you getting the picture of what a mesh network is? Let me read you some technical military terms. Military mesh networks are decentralized, self-healing communication systems that provide resilient, secure, and mobile connectivity for tactical operations. You should know that your neighborhood is considered a battlefield within the domain of the greater mesh network. This is the problem that most people in my neighborhood don't understand. They can't get it through their head that they are the enemy of NATO. NATO considers us to be farm animals. and they want us all tagged. Didn't you get the memo on the COVID hoax? They wanted you tagged, so they got your real ID, wanted you to take a PCR test, which is the collection of your DNA to verify your real ID. It's called authentication. Authentication. Authentication is a PCR test. Authentication has nothing to do with whether you have the everything to do with collecting your DNA so we can verify who you are and what you are. Now, they can do that without a PCR test, but it's just always fun when people volunteer for their own demise, which is what a PCR test is. The more DNA you have in your secret file dossier, the more closer you are to a cremation oven. Military mesh networks are wireless communication system where each node can act as both a transmitter and a receiver, send and receive, which will enable a dynamic decentralized connectivity without relying on any centralized hub. Do you see? It is a decentralized communication network. You should know that Howard Stern is a part of that. Sirius XM is a military platform, satellite communication, satellite radio. Uh, the entire radio frequency networking system, which included Jack Benny and William S. Paley at CBS. Don't forget Elvis Presley. He worked for RCA, so he worked for the military. So did Jose Menendez. He worked for RCA. Jack Benny worked for CBS. So did Phil Harris. He worked for CBS, right? So did Sharon Tate. She worked for CBS, right? So a lot of people work for CBS, including Jimi Hendrix. He worked for CBS Records. Did in the case of the Beatles and Judy Garland, they worked for EMI through Capitol Records. Capitol Records, it was called, the Beatles were marketed under Capitol Records in the United States. They were marketed under EMI, which is a military communication radio company in London. So did Judy Garland. So all the Hollywood entertainers run on military mesh networks. They always have. And they always will. Today we call it Netflix and AI. I don't know if they're going to need any more, you know, Judy Garland's, whose real name is Gump, right? And what was her name? I forgot her name. I forgot Judy Garland's real name. It's Gump. You know, that's her last name, Gump. Anyway, she has two sisters. Uh, we're in a pickle, people. You know that this stratospheric aerosol injection, which is what I harp about most of the time, which is all this with the that creates a scalar interferometry. You need to write that down. Scalar interferometry. Scalar is spelled SCALAR. SCALAR. Interferometry is spelled INTERFEROMETRY. Okay, that's where these turboprop planes and helicopters emit sound waves into the polluted particulate skies of smart dust, MIMS, and they excite them just in the way that they can excite a COVID vaccine debris in your pituitary gland or your heart. They can make the metal parts self-assemble and clot to kill you or give you a stroke, heart attack, or your doctor will tell you he can install stents, which will not solve the problem, but he will get paid. Your doctor can get paid to refer you to a cardiovascular surgeon who will get paid to not solve your problem. Isn't that great? We have a wonderful healthcare system where doctors get paid not to solve your problem. The correct solution would be to just engines first. You know that this mesh network can deliver the reverse message to your body to disperse the metal parts in your body and the polymers and clear your arteries so you won't have a stroke or a heart attack. It can go either way. They can kill you or let you live. Don't you see? Don't you see? It's pacification and control. Just like we did in Vietnam with the Strategic Hamlet Program, Agroville, the Cords, and of course, Phoenix, which was kidnapping, torture, interrogation, and murder. We could use pacification control to take out city council members, then everyone else will get in line. You don't kill everyone. I mean, according to William Colby, we only murdered 26,000 people to control 33 million people. 33 million people controlled by murdering 26,000. It's a pretty good cost of doing business ratio. Wouldn't you agree? Well, maybe you wouldn't. You kind of need to be a military pervert from NATO to agree. Anyway, this is the idea of using waves, pulsing submillimeter waves, which create a field of battlefield domain, which is expressed in the mesh, which is replacing, taking the high ground, posting guards along the watchtower, then shooting anything that moves, which was effective. But wouldn't you agree that the mesh, of course, is inescapable and ubiquitous? So it's a higher system. Now, of course, it costs trillions of dollars. But you see, when you think in terms of Swiss Bank Authority, they have infinity amounts of money. So they don't care if it costs $10,000 trillion. They will make $10,000 trillion happen. And by the time it's all built out, we're going to be on the social credit system. You do know that's another part of the mesh network that everyone forgets about. Cryptocurrency, CBDC, is programmable money. That's where we're going because they're going to blow up the current system. It's going to blow to smithereens. You can't print $10,000 trillion and expect to have any purchasing power left in your coins. So it will be replaced by your obedience. That's what it's going to be. They're going to call it social credit. I'm going to call it techno enslavement because if you don't do exactly what they say, they'll turn off your social credit. Then you won't be able to pay your water bill. Then you can't flush your toilet. Then you can't buy groceries. That's programmable money. That's CBDC, central bank digital currency. That's cryptocurrency, programmable money. I hope you're paying attention. You crypto people out there, you're going down and you're going downtown, circling the drain, going down to the cremation of them on the next level below, like Barry and Honey Sherman did. And the downstairs level of their modern home was the swimming pool where they were suspended by $9 leather belts, like junkyard sculpture art. That's where people who believe in crypto are headed. They're headed downtown to Chinatown. And I don't mean communist China. All right. So real ID verification, zero trust architecture, zero trust system qualifies you for certain access privileges, which can be revoked without notice at any time. Your social credit can be enabled or disabled without notice anytime. This is all along the watchtower, the obelisk of privileges, status, and rank. That's how it all goes. The higher your rank, the higher your privileges. In the case of Donald Trump, he's at the rock bottom. He has not much of anything. He's in a gilded cage. He's got to do exactly what he's told, or else he'll have a manic episode, or perhaps die of toxic rodent dropping toxicity, like Betsy Arakawa did, like Gene Hackman did. Well, he died of heart attack. Manic episode. All right, that's my video for today. I wanted you to know that the mesh network is made up of many things. For example, it is Ring cameras. It is your remote wireless router in your living room. It's that too. I don't know where your wireless router is. Maybe you have it in your office and you think you're safe. It's the smart meters outside your home. It's the Ring cameras your neighbors have, which work up to a mile. It is the smart meters, which are measuring your usage of electricity and water and gas. It's all being put into a dossier on whether you're hoarding energy. You do know the military hoards the most. They hoard over half of all the energy in the world is hoarded by the military. But the military does not consider itself to be subjected to these rules. These rules apply only to cows on the reservation. Only cows, cowboys, not the ranchers. They can party like it's 1999. Self-healing means that we have backup after backup after backup, and if any of these particulates go dead, they're immediately replaced by another 10,000 particulates, which because it's a mesh network of redundancy. And I will post a link to various of what makes a military mesh network. Now, let me see if there's anything else I need to tell you about. You need to know about satellite telephone. It's also known as SATCOM. Satcom is a mobile phone that uses communication of satellite to satellite to make voice and data calls, to send text and voice messaging, and to print voice into text, voice to text, and also to connect internet in areas where traditional cellular networks are unavailable or are just unreliable. You can use satellite telephones. Okay, instead of relying on ground-based towers, Satcom transmits signal to the satellite in low Earth orbit. The satellites are in low Earth orbit. They're not that far out. Okay, how do they work? Satcom uses communication satellites to relay signals between 2 points on Earth. These satellites may be in geosynchrony orbit, which is approximately 35,000 kilometers above the equator, which works out to 20,000 miles. Uh, that's high Earth orbit. Low Earth orbit is defined as anything over 100,000 feet, which is approximately 16 miles up. Let's say 16 miles up. This is where most of the communication devices are, in the neighborhood of 100,000 to 300,000 feet above the Earth, which is where you are into so-called microgravity environment, low Earth orbit. Anyway, I don't want people to think that a lot of the communication is really far out, because it's not. Most of it is under the umbrella over your head, because we've moved away from, line of sight communications with telegraphy and having to string wires along the railroad tracks or set up watchtowers with antennas. We don't have to do that anymore because we have this low Earth orbit umbrella of CubeSats and, aerial balloons, weather balloons that do not go into space. They stay, below 100,000 feet, and they can transpond to another node on the network. And now we have all the smart dust, which augments and enhances the communication system. All right, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my video. I'll post regarding spam, Sirius XM, and I don't want to get into Howard Stern, but he believes in masking, social distancing. He believes in the vaccine. So that's what all NATO soldiers believe in, because they don't think, they just follow their orders. You should know that the corporate headquarters for Sirius XM's holding company, of course, is 1221 Avenue of the Americas. I believe that's 6th Avenue, Manhattan, New York. That's a 33. So Howard Stern's boss's boss, has an office at the highest level of obedience within the Swiss Bank Authority at 1221 Avenue of the Americas. And I'm telling you that XM Satellite Radio Holdings Incorporated is a Swiss bank controlled NATO weapon systems, just like Columbia Broadcasting System is, just like RCA is, Radio Corporation of America, just like EMI is, just like they all are, Sony, you name it. They're all military contractors, and they're all your community voice, voice over IP, text messaging, emailing, and typing Word documents through the Keyhole Looking Glass program, going into a file at a data center near you. All right, that's it. Take care. Do share my videos. I am heavily shadow banned. I'm right at 33 minutes, the highest level of obedience within the obelisk, the chain of command. This is Juxtaposition signing off, encouraging you to get an adult beverage and replay this video. You may pick up more the second time through. Take care, my fascist friends. Bye now.